Hello, you've caught me being an idiot. What's new? Bump into me on any random day and chances are I'll be doing something ill-advised, eating my packed lunch before 10 a.m, leaving my phone on the loo roll holder in the gents before Nath goes in there for his 15-minute tea break, doing something stupid in a video game just because it's funny. You should have known not to get in my taxi. Most of the time you can get away with it. In fact, you could argue video games often encourage you to prod and poke and muck about. But even video games have their limits, with developers hard coding in hilarious punishments for gamers who can't help but push things a little too far. Here then are 7 times video games punished us for being total idiots. We deserved it. The first entry on this list of times we were punished for being a total idiot came recently in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, a game so big that it has actually made it really hard to do my job because I just want to play dice all the time. In fact, it makes me feel so bad that when I lose I have the awful habit of forgetting that the game doesn't auto-save like other RPGs, which isn't great when, having lost 12 games of Farkle in a row to a particularly lucky Farkle player and forgetting about the lack of autosave, I proceed to pull out my sword and murder said Farkle player. Not so lucky now, are you? I'm just role-playing as a sore loser, okay? Unfortunately, being a graceless opponent so quick to stab will cause you to be branded, literally, as punishment for your crimes, which comes with debuffs, both physical and social. And if you get caught committing another serious crime while branded, you will find out why no one seems to have 2 brands. How medieval! I do the dishing out, not the taking. God. The thing is, I'm not surprised by the actual hanging. Of course, a game this realistically brutal set in the medieval times would give you the long drop and short stop for committing multiple murders. I just didn't expect it to be so harrowing. The fear in actor Tom McKay's performance is so intense it's almost palpable. And that sound when his neck breaks. The real punishment for my idiocy is that I'm now going to have nightmares about that sound for a week. Entry 2 in this list of times we were total idiots in games comes from Atomfall, the sci-fi RPG set in an alternate history Britain after a mysterious nuclear accident. Come on then, let's get the jokes out of the way. You wouldn't know there's been an explosion, would you? I think the apocalypse actually improved the town. Well done. Right, now that little bit of British self-deprecation is over with, let's get back to the issue at hand, or more specifically, my own curiosity. Atomfall is structured in such a way that you are never told exactly what to do. Instead, you're encouraged to explore, find clues and piece together the story and what you should do next yourself. It's really interesting because it means that every player will have their own unique adventure in this intriguing world. But for people who love to break and bend the rules, like me, it can lead to unintended consequences. For example, there are 2 scientists that worked for Bard before the incident that, without giving anything away, don't get on very well. So, when the opportunity came to have these 2 characters meet up, I decided to see what the outcome of such a meeting would be, given their complicated history. Let's just say it ended with 1 fewer questline to follow. Another example actually happened on stream, with Dave executing a key character for no particular reason other than Nath told him to.
Take him down.
Should I?
Take him down, Dave.
I'll just die. Oh, it'd be good for us to know though, wouldn't it?
Want to know. You've killed.
Does anything happen? Is there like a...
And now I feel awful.
I'm not going to get his bit of the story anymore.
Funnily enough, Dave did not get the Captain Sims ending. Entry 3 is from Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. Now, let's be honest, when a game is made by Hideo Kojima, you know there are going to be plenty of instances where your chickens come home to roost. Whether it's Raiden being chased by Snake after attacking him unprovoked, or hearing Otacon call you out for unprofessional behaviour. Metal Gear Solid 2 is the undisputed king when it comes to messing around with the player. But my favourite instance of chickens coming home to roost involves a different kind of bird altogether. Seagulls. These winged pests are the most annoying thing ever, with their endless cawing and Cornish pasty stealing and poo that goes right in the camera. They are hateful, abominable little pests that chances are, like me, you decided to teach a lesson. And by teach a lesson, we do of course mean shoot them in the face. Yes, I know it's wrong, but it feels too damn good to hear their self-satisfied screeching fall silent, only for the piece to be interrupted by the thump of the now flightless birds hitting the deck. Poo on me, will you? Well, eat this, you jumped-up pigeon. Unfortunately, the Colonel and Rose do not share in your seagull hatred.
Raiden, do you actually enjoy abusing helpless animals?
I don't believe this. I had no idea you were that kind of a monster.
I don't understand you, Raiden. If you're satisfied, get back to the mission.
And to make matters worse, Rose then refuses to save your progress for you. She's so upset. And then, to make matters even more difficult, Rose is so upset with Raiden that she'll refuse to save your game until she's calmed down.
Fine. Don't you have something you want to say before that?
Like what? All right, I get it. I'm sorry. There. You satisfied?
Close enough.
You selfish.
What was that?
Nothing. Just talking to myself.
Worth it. The fourth time we were massive idiots is coincidentally shooting Luis in Resident Evil 4 during the house siege. You may be surprised that we haven't included being eaten by the Del Lago after you've shot the lake a bunch of times, but that feels more like a fun surprise than it does a natural consequence of your idiocy. Plus, it wouldn't give me the chance to include this week's fashion role model, Louis Serra. Not a word out of you. It's called style, sweetie. Something my clothing compatriot here understands. What Louis doesn't understand, however, is my burning desire to accidentally shoot him in the back during this fantastic action set piece. It's easily done. There are parasite-riddled villagers inviting themselves over for supper through every window. If a bullet were to go astray and burn a hole in his dashing jacket, who's to say it was my fault? A perfectly reasonable excuse. If only I'd shot him once. But I didn't, and I guess that made it pretty obvious that it was me shooting him. At least in the remake he just yells at you, which you can just ignore. Back in 2005, he had a slightly stronger objection.
Adios, Leon.
I didn't really like leather anyway. It's not really my style, is it? Stupid Louis Serra. Nier Automata is up next, and this is perhaps the ultimate example of being punished for being an idiot in video games because of the sheer volume of ways you can be one. There are 26 endings in Nier Automata, one for each letter of the alphabet. Now, you'll get endings A through to C simply by playing through the game. The final ending sees you choosing between D and E, whereas the rest are all jokes. Pretty much every I wonder if moment gets a full-fledged ending screen. Die in the first mission, you suck, game over, ending W. Self-destruct in the bunker, kill yourself and your entire team, game over, ending U. But in my opinion, the best you're an idiot ending is ending T. You see, the game's skill system functions like a circuit board, and you have a limited number of slots for the skill plug-in chips. So, just like when you wanted to make space on your full memory card for a new save, you had to delete something else. And so you see the OS chip, clearly marked an Android's central system. Removal means death. And you think, really? Will it really? Yes, it will. Really. You can't have a list about being an idiot in video games and not include Skyrim, so here it is at number 6. And unlike the seagulls in Metal Gear Solid 2, this is an example of chickens coming home to roost. And by coming home to roost, we once again mean killing them for the lols. But in a rare moment of groundedness from this fantasy RPG, the death of the village's only chicken will cause the villagers to become incredibly upset with you. It makes sense, I suppose. These folk have endured hard times and rely on what paltry possessions they have. Of course they're going to be upset when you destroy their livelihood and food source in this hostile world. It's not even like you can give a compelling defense when you're confronted.
Oh, I'm sorry, Thane of Riverwood. I'm just a poor, starving chosen one, a dragonborn, the king of the world. I really needed that chicken breast. Ignore the inventory full of wolf meat. Yeah, that's not a dialogue option. So, you've turned the village against you, and now you must face the onslaught of its inhabitants. Does that matter to the Dragonborn? Probably not. One fuss rodar and they'll be wishing they'd left you well alone. But it does mean that any time you go within spitting distance of the village boundaries, you'll be fending off a very hangry mob. Will that stop me doing it every time I start a new Skyrim playthrough? It will not. And now, the end is near, and I must face the final punishment for being an absolute muppet in video games. A particularly impatient muppet at that, because our final punishment for being a complete idiot comes from South Park, The Fractured Butthole, when you repeatedly try and skip the opening cutscene. Because if there is one thing in this world that is absolutely sacred, it is the very serious opening sequence of the equally serious video game with the phenomenally serious title, The Fractured Butthole. Okay, so it's not exactly War and Peace on the seriousness scale, but it is still a story that someone has put a lot of time and effort into. Not Cartman, obviously, don't be ridiculous, but the writers and animators and developers, all of whom are rightly proud of their work and don't want to see it glossed over just because we have the attention span of a goldfish. Yeah, I know goldfish are supposedly smarter than we previously thought, but, I haven't got time to... Look at this cat. Where was I? Oh yes, the punishment. Upset at how you're disrespecting the material, Cartman decides that if you want to skip, he'll give you a skip, right to the end credits, meaning you don't get to see any of the game at all. But don't worry, he's actually really chill about it.
Okay, fine, you can skip cutscenes if you really want to, asshole.
Well, I deserved that. So, that was 7 times video games punished us for being total idiots. Give us a like if you enjoyed the video. If you can think of any more examples, please do let us know in the comments. And most importantly, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell for more of these videos every Friday. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.
PlayStation